Lucky by Marissa Stapley. I'm adding people in a second. Hi, everybody. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
So the author is joining us probably around 8. She just messaged me that she was driving and running a little late in traffic.
Okay.
So she will be on soon. Hi, Lourdes. Welcome back. We have a few new faces this week. Hi, Melissa. So if everybody wants to go around and introduce themselves, for those that I just added, I had just said that the author is joining us, but she messaged me that she's stuck in traffic, so she'll be on like around 8 or so. So we have a little time. So Jennifer, you want to go first? You.
Hi, I'm Jennifer. I love our book club. I think I've read all of them so far. I think I missed one meeting though, but I really enjoyed this book. I'm a teacher at Somerset Bay. I have 2 boys and a dog that you see here. That will probably be in the picture a lot. He likes to jump on me. But nice to see everyone and meet the new faces.
Lydia.
Oh, okay.
I'm going in the order I let you guys in.
I'm Lydia. I see familiar faces and I see new faces. So the new faces welcome. I also love this book club very much. I've read every single book, although I've missed a few sessions. I think 2.
I don't know, but it's okay.
But I've read them all. So here I am again, and I'm excited to discuss this book tonight. I really liked it. It was really good.
Yeah, good. Melissa.
Hi, I'm Belissa Alvarez, and this is my first time. I was unable to join the last session you guys did, but I'm excited. I loved the book as well. I thought it was awesome. So I'm excited to talk about it and hear more from the author.
Audria.
Hi, I'm Audria. This is, I think, the third book club meeting I've joined now, and I'm really enjoying all the good conversation, and I really enjoyed this book, so I'm happy to be here.
Allie.
Hi, I'm Allie, former coworker of Michelle's, and I think I've been to most of the book clubs. And yeah, I'm excited for this book. I even got the actual physical copy, which I never do. So now it's nice. I have one to keep around, and I've already recommended it, offered it to some friends.
Yay. Allie's an e-reader, and I think she was waiting for the library version of it forever.
Yeah, it was taking too long.
10 weeks for it.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And I did.
Tina.
Hi, Tina Formosa. I did not finish reading the book. I'm going to be honest, since the author's not on yet.
You don't get punished or anything.
I know, I do. I ran out of time, and I am a physical book reader. I like the actual book. I'm literally halfway, so I don't know. I feel like I need to mute so that I don't get it ruined, because I actually like it. It's super interesting so far. So, and I think I've only missed like one of these. I love it. I love the book club. So, I may have to check out though, because I don't want to ruin it.
It's okay. I'll try to save the questions about the ending towards the end, so you can. I'll give you a sign. I'll say it.
I like listening to the author. I think that's such an awesome spin on this. It makes it so creative, and I'd love to hear their perspective. So thanks for that.
I'm trying to get them for each book. Some of the books the authors have declined, so sorry if we don't have one. Like for our next book club, I I tried like 3 different books, but I wanted the author. So
Yeah.
Lourdes.
Hi, Lourdes Garvey. This is my second book club meeting. And I haven't been to one where the author was there, so I'm very excited.
Oh, good.
And yes, and I went to, I think I know Michelle through a different ways. One is Lourdes, one is a friend of mine, Dania. So I just know of Michelle. And I just found her on Instagram and started following. So, and I'm excited. I read the book in like a weekend. It was very good. I was like, I needed to get to the end. I needed to figure out what was going to happen. So
well,
it was great.
Everyone is welcome. I don't know everybody in real life. Jennifer, I met through these book clubs. We've never met in person. So just thanks for joining. Christy Zeru.
Hi, I'm Christy. I've known Michelle since college. We're sorority sisters and kept in touch through social media. And I saw that she was starting a book club. So I've tried to join sporadically when I have the time, but I have kept up with the readings. And this was a great choice. I really enjoyed it. It was also like a quick read for me, really got into it. So great choice. Looking forward to speaking with the author tonight.
I'm so glad you guys liked it.
I thought it was great. And it was a quick read. At least for me, it went by real. I don't know if it was because what was going to happen or it wasn't a very long book. I didn't think.
No.
But it was just like, go. I mean, I zipped through it. And
it's not a book I think I would normally pick up for myself.
I would have never chosen it.
I would have never either. And I chose it because I think it was Jennifer, you got it in the Christmas exchange, right?
I did.
And I liked the cover, so I looked at it.
Yeah, it was a cool cover.
You know what? It was one of those Reese Witherspoon.
Yes, and then I saw it was a Reese pick for December.
I usually will read like what she recommends, but that was one that I was like, until you said we're gonna do this one. I'm like, okay, I guess now I have to, because just the Vegas thing.
Yeah.
You know, when I read like when I was looking through it, when she first put it on her book club, I was like, am I interested in something about Vegas and this
like con artist thing? I wasn't interested.
Con artist, you know. But then you said, and I said, okay, well, I'm gonna have to. And then Olga, my friend Olga, who I don't know if she's joining tonight, she was like, oh my God, I read that in December. It was so good. And I'm like, well, okay, because she
messaged me, she read it, but she hasn't RSVP'd, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure. She was like, she didn't know she was going to be home in time. So that's why. But I was just like, okay, you read it, you recommended it. It can't be that bad. And I'm so glad I didn't just say, forget it, you know, because I really, really liked it. And it was nothing like, I would have never chosen it for myself.
Oh, good.
So, good choice. Good choice.
I read today. I don't know if I knew this when I shared that it was a book club pick, but I don't think so. But it was sold to ABC Disney, so I guess it's going to be a movie or a series or something. Cool. We can ask the author more about that.
Very cool.
Does anybody have anything else in general you want to say about the book? Anything you liked or didn't like? Without totally ruining the end for Tina.
That's hard. It's like,
I can mute you guys so you can keep talking. I don't want to mess it up. I'll jump back on in a minute. Don't worry.
I like that it went through her whole life, you know, from when she was a little girl and what led to her, you know, becoming this. It wasn't just like, you know, a story about her winning or I don't want to say it. Fun, you know.
Hard to like not give it away.
Yeah.
I think she's muted. I don't think she's listening.
Yeah. What I loved, it's funny that you guys, a couple of you said that it's not normally the kind of book you would be attracted to, but I love books about like spies or people who do things that I would never in a million years think about doing. I just find it interesting. So I loved just the fact that, you know, it went into detail about how they went about doing certain things or, you know, just kind of like wow, crazy life, you know, and the fact that, you know, she started kind of with, you know, her dad and so young. So I thought it was very interesting.
Just, sorry, I just added one more person. Where did they go? I don't know where they went. Oh, there. Is Tina still muted? I was gonna say something about her dad. Okay, no. Okay, anybody else? Thoughts on the book in general? Hi, Michelle, welcome.
Hello. Hi, everybody.
The author is joining us a little bit late because she messaged me that she's stuck in traffic. So we did introductions. Do you want to introduce yourself quickly?
Perfect. Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Michelle. I've been to the book club a couple times. Today, I'm not showing my face because I literally just got out of the shower. And so I look like a mess. So the camera will not be on. But I love reading, and I joined this book club because we actually read books and we talk about it, and I love it.
She says that because we have a book club with our friends that is impossible to get together.
It's like more of a social club because it never gets together and nobody ever reads the books.
I was just asking if there's anything you liked in general about the book. A few people mentioned that it's a book that they wouldn't normally pick up on their own, but that they liked it.
Yeah, I agree with that. I would have never, I don't think I would have picked it up either, but I did enjoy the story. It's something very different, very entertaining. It never had like a dull moment, you know? I liked it.
I personally found it a little bit slow in the beginning. And I think it's because I'm not into the heist and like conning part. So I like after like the second or third one, I was like, okay, move on from it. But other than that, I really liked it. Okay, so who was your favorite character and why?
Should start sending these questions in advance.
About it. This is very casual. You don't have to prep for it. I liked Lucky, obviously, but I'm not gonna say her on purpose. So I really liked Stephanie. That was her name, right? The little girl she was friends with when she was young. And her mom. I think that they were so like genuine and helpful. And this is a question I want for the author. I wanted them to come back at the end.
Me
like
too.
everyone else sort of came back in the end and got like a nice little wrapped up bow of like what was happening in their life, except them.
Yeah, I agree. I thought that she was gonna go to them for help and she never did, you know?
Yes, and I wanted like their reaction, like what happened when they left? Like they lived with them for so long.
Yeah.
I mean, well, she checked on them, no? Like she tried, but she was like,
yeah.
And she was like, let me not ruin these people again.
Yeah, when she was at the real estate office, but I mean, when she was a realtor, she went to see the house, but
right, she didn't
tell her anything, and we didn't get like their reaction or anything from it. It was like she was kind of spying on them.
Exactly, and then it just died. Yeah.
I wanted more, like, yeah, I wanted to know like how they felt after they left and all of that. But then I feel like that part was just, you know, she gave us that little glimpse to say like, she's okay, she's living a good life, you know, her mom is living a good life, like they're okay. But I was like, wait, but go tell her, like, you're sorry. And
I'm like, it was years later. I hope she had moved on, but like she was when she left. I wanted to know what had happened.
Yeah, but I think with Stephanie, the mom, the mom was like a sucker. Like, I mean, you know, I was just like, you know what I mean? Like,
fell for the charming guy.
Like, okay, lady, you know, but it would have been nice, like full circle, if they would have just rekindled because they were so close when they were little. And that's only like real normal kind of childhood experience that she had. So, and they left so abruptly too.
I know.
Like what? Like, okay, let's go. You know, couldn't even have like Christmas.
I was so sad. She was looking forward to her first Christmas.
You know, it's like, okay, let's go. Everybody's still sleeping and all the presents were like left there.
Yeah.
Oh, you know, it's like you wonder what these poor people wake up and it's like all these presents for these two people and they just took off and left.
I really wanted to know what the gifts were, what her reaction was to them. She never had that.
Yeah.
All the
Yeah, that was
superficial stuff I
sad.
was into.
Yeah. I think that
That was
situation
sad.
was what made that life they led, like made you feel it. You know what I mean? Like you felt
Yes.
bad for her and you're like, oh, like, because before that situation, I feel like, you were like following along and they were trying to describe like the life that they led. But that was the first time where like she had to give something up because of the life they led.
Yeah.
That as a reader, like you felt it. Like you were like, oh no, this sucks. Like this is, she deserves this. So yeah.
You know who I liked? Her birth mother.
Yes.
She like rose above and she became like this awesome lawyer. And
I really like it. Tina, what part are you by? You're muted. I don't think she's talking to us.
yeah.
Maybe she muted.
Okay.
Maybe she muted us.
I really liked how like that whole story like came together.
Came full circle, yeah.
And it was such a nice little Easter egg in the beginning when she was like saw her on the news, and that was like so, I didn't pick up on that at all.
Neither.
Yeah. I
Looked
didn't think of anything
familiar.
that had to be. Yeah.
I was glad it wasn't like the trashy white trash lady. I was
Yeah.
just like,
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
like I was ready to be like, I was like, what? Really?
But she was like the expected, like you expected that out of them.
Oh, but I was just like, oh no, like, like I was like, come on, no.
But for him to end up not being the real dad, I was like,
Yes. I'm like, well, Tina's
Yeah,
like,
I was
you just said
shocked.
what I was gonna say. I'm like, well, Tina's muted over there. What did you think of that storyline?
I almost kind of expected it. Like I wasn't that shocked when I read it, just because it did seem like when he showed up, it seemed kind of sketchy. Like what, guy just like man just like shows up and does that. To me, it didn't seem like, I wasn't that shocked when he was like, oh, I'm not really your real father. But the whole when the book got to part 2, I turned the page and I saw part 2. I go, part 2? How much is left of this book if there's a part 2?
They had
So
to wrap
I'm
it
glad that we
together.
went back and got to see that whole part unfold.
I really liked part 2 a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought the nun was interesting.
Yeah.
The nun sort of was like on a path to redemption, because you got the impression at the beginning, or basically not the impression, that she was like some scam artist herself. And
Right.
she, she became a nun, and and then towards, she tries to do the right thing, and she actually does. She's a scammer, but then she gets scammed.
Yeah.
And then she sort of fixes that, how it comes full circle with the nun. But it was interesting because you're like, oh, it's sort of like a redemption story, for Lucky, because she wants to be good. She is good. She's just doesn't know how not to be what she is, and then
she was born into it.
Yeah,
she was born into a situation that was like beyond her control. She didn't choose this. It was like just what the card that was dealt.
But the nun was interesting. I was just like, okay, yeah, I didn't expect the nun to come back. You know what I mean? Like to show up again. I just thought it was like, oh, sort of setting it up, and then when the nun actually showed up again, or when they found her and all that, just how easily everything connected. I thought that was pretty interesting.
In the beginning, I actually thought Lucky was the nun, and it was like a hideout. Like I didn't realize it was a separate character till a while later.
Yes, I thought it was like a sister act type of thing. That she was the nun.
So I wasn't the only one.
No, yes, I totally thought that. Yeah.
Melissa, what were you gonna say?
No, I just feel like the author did such a good job of just tying everything together and bringing everything back. Like, and some things you could have deduced, right? And then other things you're like, really? But yeah, and I loved how it all kind of came back to the beginning.
Since we're on the topic of the nun, this wasn't a question I had for way later, but what did you guys think about her? Did you think she should have been more honest with Valerie?
No.
No?
No, I don't know. I don't know if it would have made, much of a difference. I think if it would have taken away from what her character was trying to accomplish, or what the purpose of her character was in the whole story. So I don't know, maybe, but not necessary.
I loved how Valerie had a future because of her. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, that's another way she was like redeeming herself. But I do wish, like, that part, to me, I wish they would have focused on a little more towards the end, like had the opportunity of them having a conversation, because we never really found out, like, why did she not tell her, right? Like, yes, you know, it's great that she kind of, you know, helped her, and she's the reason that she was able to become what she became, but to kind of dig a little deeper into as to why she chose to not disclose the information that she knew from the beginning. But
I think she was afraid.
Yeah.
And like also when she went to tell her that they showed up at the church, yeah, she still muted. When she showed up at the church, the next scene we saw was like her talking to her, like going to look for her. Like we never saw that conversation either, like how she knew who they were.
Like what was her reaction? Did she, like, you know, reproach her for it? Like they kind of just glossed over that part. So that was a little bit, you know.
Okay, in what ways does the author defy your ideas of criminals? And were any of your perceptions of criminals, particularly female ones, challenged?
Well, she makes you like a criminal, because Lucky's a criminal.
Yeah. The author's one. Hold on, let me add her. Hello, welcome, Marissa. Hi.
Hello. Hi, everybody.
Welcome. I was going to say your last name, but I saw on one of your lives that you say that people always get it wrong. And I made it a note to say it the correct way. And now I don't remember which one it was. Is it Stapley is the correct way?
It is Stapley. Can you just give me 1 second? Because I need to go and kick people off the internet because I think my internet's not great. 1 second. Okay. Sorry.
Okay. Stapley. I keep saying Stapley.
I love how she has the book stacked behind her. The lucky book.
So pretty.
I really like the cover so much.
Yeah.
I thought it was really cool.
I saw today while I was looking up ideas for questions, the cover, the Canadian cover, I think it is. It's like a Vegas background with a girl walking like with her back showing and like a ticket in her hand. This cover.
I wonder why they changed the cover.
That's interesting.
This cover is not here. I think they changed it in different countries. When we read Wish You Were Here, we have a book club member in Ireland, but she never joins us because of the time difference, but she reads every book. And she sent me she's like, I bought the book, but the cover is different. And it's because it's a different country.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Sorry, I know over here, but I will say something about the cover. But so when Reese's book club asked me how to pronounce my name, and I don't think I explained it properly. And then when Reese announced the pick, she said, by Marissa Stapley. And that's my family. We always laugh because that's how everyone says our name. And then my cousin Karen texted right away and was like, well, I hope you corrected Reese Witherspoon about the and I was like, no, I didn't. But then now
whatever she wants.
So now because they have that Google Home thing or whatever it is, it says like, that's how my name is pronounced. So I actually feel like I've sort of changed, like my name is kind of Stapley now. It's really funny. And I don't, it's a small price to pay, but it actually is Stapley. So
that's like anyway, Chrissy Teigen has that now. So you're in good company, right?
Yeah. And then about the cover, it is that it's the Canadian cover, but also when it was or became a Reese's Book Club pick, one of the things the book club said is we would love a cover revamp. So it was sort of like under the shadow of this is the Canadian cover.
Okay.
But only because we couldn't say this is a Reese's pick because it was such a secret. So
this cover is beautiful.
It's so great.
Yeah.
So now the cover is in Canada too. I mean, the last cover was okay. It was interesting, but this cover is.
The colors are nice.
Yeah.
But do books usually have different covers in different countries?
Well, they usually have different covers in like different countries, but normally in North America, they try to keep Canada and the US the same as much as possible. because otherwise it gets confusing. I have an author friend right now who's in a situation where her US publisher wants to use one title and the Canadian publisher wants to use another. And you see how linked we are when that happens, because we're all like, oh gosh, that'll be so
That's confusing.
hard. Yeah. So anyway, sorry, I kind of burst in and then
it's
was all-
okay.
Yeah.
we were trying not to get too deep into it. We discussed favorite characters, and we talked about how, at least for me particularly and a few other ladies, it's not a book we would have normally picked on our own. And I actually picked it because we have a holiday gift exchange, and someone gifted it to one of the ladies on here, and I liked the cover, so I looked it up, and that's what made me interested.
Cool. That's awesome. I'm so glad you picked it.
Thank you. And we were also currently talking about the nun's role in the story, and how we wish there was a little bit more to that. What was your decision for leaving more of her conversation with Valerie, like when she told them what was happening?
You wanted more, like you want to know more about the nun, or more, you wanted more of her?
We wanted to know what the conversation was like when she told them she saw Lucky and the parent and her father, because we see the part where she gets to her office to tell her, but then the next scene it's Valerie, right?
Yeah. Okay, that's an interesting question. I mean, I think I probably do have that scene written somewhere where she tells her.
Yeah.
And I will say that when you're reading a book sometimes, and it's like this hugely emotional moment, but it's also telling something that the reader already knows. Sometimes, even though you think maybe you want it, you don't realize that actually what you really want is to get to where you got, you know what I mean? Like what you really want is to see what she does. And maybe I realized that there was no justice I could do to how Valerie would have felt to find that out, except to just show her just going, right? And just to show that moment. And so I think that's what was behind the decision. Like I can see it, but maybe I wrote it and I was like, this is not working because, and I know I'm well aware as that, you know, the book has gone over so well, but that readers are like, oh, it feels rushed at the end. But I can say that I didn't rush it to write it. It's just that I know that when I'm reading a book like this, like I want the conclusion, and I made it as tight as possible. So, and I want you to think about it. And I think it's okay if you picture how that scene might have gone. And I think with Lucky as well, and I'm really hoping that there's some good news on this end soon that I can announce, but I actually wrote Lucky as a pilot first, and I always imagined Lucky as a TV show. Okay. So there's a lot of stuff that, you know, it ends where it ends because I didn't want there to be this tied in a bow. Like I wanted people to want more.
Okay. Now that you said that, I had actually mentioned it in the beginning of our meeting. I read today somewhere where I was researching for questions that it was sold to ABC Disney. Is that
so? Yeah. So I can't say a huge amount about that, but it actually has moved to a different
network
place now, even better. And things are looking really good. So awesome. TV development is so interesting because I did work on development with ABC Disney, and I worked with Carlton Cuse, who's the co-creator of Lost and an amazing person. And but it's very hard, even with someone like that, working with you to get things made. But I think it's looking good. So we'll see. I hope so.
Do you get to write the script?
I was going to when I was working with Carlton, and now I'm not going to, but that's okay. I'm working on a script for another one of my novels, and I'm so busy now. So it's probably better. I think TV writing is really fascinating, and I've written a pilot for The Last Resort, which is my previous novel. And it's energizing. Like because I always think I can't write all day. Like I can work on a novel for, let's say, 4 hours, but I could work on a novel for 4 hours and work on a screenplay for 3 hours and actually have a full writing day. Like I find it energizing for now.
Yeah.
Maybe that's because it's not my job yet. I don't know.
Now that you mentioned that, before we get into more of the book, how did you come up with the idea for Lucky, and what is your writing process like?
So I was on a trip with my family. I think we were in Ellicottville in New York. We were skiing. And so we had a US radio, because I'm Canadian. So we had a US radio station on, and it was maybe a morning show. And they were talking, you know how morning shows, and they'll be like, you know, the news is such and such. And it was about a lottery ticket that was about to expire. I think it was in Carolina. For some reason, they were talking about it, and they said, this is one of the biggest payouts in state history, and it's going to expire, let's say, in 24 hours, and the person hasn't come forward, and, you know, if this is you. And then they started speculating on reasons why people don't come forward.
Oh.
And my husband he's really, like, you'd never think he'd be a lottery player, but he buys a lottery ticket every week. And if we ever walk past a certain variety store, he's like, I'm going to go buy the Lotto Max. And in Canada, like, we don't have hundreds of millions of dollar lotteries. Like, but he'll do it, and he'll say, should I buy a lottery ticket? And I'm like, yes, because if you ask me and I say no, then obviously you would have been. So he was waiting and listening, because normally he'd just turn the car off, but he was interested. And they said, you know, sometimes people have passed away, and isn't that sad? And then the lottery, they never know, or like they've lost it, or they forgot they bought it. And then one of the radio DJs said, you know, sometimes I heard that people have a warrant out for their arrest and they can't come forward because of that. And I was like, oh, that's feels like a story. And writers are always doing that. Like, we're always sort of one ear cocked. Yeah. But at the time, I was really wanting to write a TV pilot too. So I was like, ooh, like, wouldn't that be a show? And I'm always doing that to my family. Like, guys, what do you think of this idea? Like, some character who has done something wrong and they can't cash in a winning lottery ticket, or else they'll go to jail. And then, so that was, I think it was January. And I was working on another novel at the time, which I'm now working on again. And my mom got sick, and I was struggling with the novel that I was working on. So, and I kept thinking, okay, well, I don't know, this lottery ticket idea, maybe that would be more fun to work on. And it was like one day I was going to see my mom, and I had to take a bus to get there, and Lucky just kind of came. Like, I almost feel like she sat down beside me on the bus and was like, here's what you're going to do. You needed to be a con artist, because everyone, for whatever reason, loves a con artist, right? Like, even though in real life we hate a con artist, like, it's just, everyone's entertained by con artist shows. And, you know, you need to make her compelling and lovable enough that everyone's going to want her to win the lottery. And that's where that came from. And I feel like, but she just kind of arrived, and I started texting my agent, who thought I was working on a different book, and said, okay, here's the idea. Like, I'm doing this, and her name is Lucky. Like, it all just came. And my agent was like, this is the best idea you've ever had. Just go for it. So I did. And then my writing process back then was I would just sit down and write a first draft, like, just plow through it without even thinking about it, and then outline after. I don't do that anymore. I'm not doing that at the moment for my next novel. I think because I've reached the point where I can sell, if I outline it, I can sell it to a publisher. So I've outlined it, and awesome. And now I have an outline that I can use. But I do enjoy that, like, short first draft that you just are like, where is this story going? And then I go back and outline, and then start fresh for the second draft, which really terrifies a lot of writers, but I don't mind having a brand new document. I think it's exciting.
Did you have to research a lot, con artists and like different heists?
Yeah, because I don't know. I'm not a con artist. I mean, I could be, I could be now. So I did, and I always start with the library. So I took out I got everything I could find on con artists, and I read Catch Me If You Can, and I read about Bernie Madoff, and I just tried to figure out how all of these cons work. And then online, there's a sort of weirdly shocking amount of information online about grifting, which, you know, sometimes it's all like, oh, but you should never do this. Like, but then why is this here? Like, there's like a YouTube video on how to shortchange someone at a grocery store. So I did that, and then, yeah, and just to really figure out how all of those things worked. And it was interesting. It was interesting. And I think the most interesting thing I found was after Lucky came out, a book was published maybe that same month called Confident Women by Tori Telfer, and it's con women through the ages, because we all know about con men, but like, and I thought it was really interesting how many really shrewd con women there have been. But in her intro, she said, here's why we are so engaged by con artists, because we as society have this contract with each other. It's actually really beautiful. Like, we are in every interaction, we're it's an act of faith and it's an act of trust, which is why it's so shocking when people breach that. And she said, so the fact that there can be con artists is because we have this contract, and then there are people who are breaching that contract, and we can't help but admire them in a grudging way, because we could do it so easily. And so it's fascinating for us to watch it happen. And I just thought that was really interesting, like, because I was wondering, like, why is it that I can create this criminal and people are not like, oh, we don't like her, I mean, I made her backstory. I wanted everyone to know her as a child so that they would really, really understand and love her. But still, like, we're always kind of rooting for the con artist,
I mean, I feel a little bit sad for her with her backstory and how she seems like she wanted to get out of being a con artist, but she kept being like pulled back in by the people around her who she didn't really have a choice who was around her.
Yeah. And that's at the beginning of the book, she doesn't have a ton of agency, right? She's sort of like a tumbleweed going through her life and pulled in the directions she doesn't want to go in it, but then she really does get a lot of control, and ultimately in the end does choose to be good. Although sometimes I think about Lucky now and I think she is so good. It may be, I wonder if she 100% would stay on that path. I'm not sure. Like, I think in a TV show, for example, she might eventually be like, this is the thing that I'm good at and I actually miss it.
Yeah. But now she has the influence of Valerie. So
yes.
Maybe that will help straighten her.
Yeah.
Does we like to make this a conversation. I don't have to be the only one asking questions. Does anybody have any questions you want to ask? No. Okay. We had been talking about Stephanie and her mom before you joined us, and that was another storyline that we were like, we wanted more of, and we get why you didn't give us more, because the whole point of it is her coming in and out of these situations. But Melissa mentioned that gave us like an image of what she would be like in a normal life situation, and in a good future, in a good home. But I personally missed the, like, when they left, like, what was their reaction? I know we saw her in the future, but that was so many years later that we didn't get like what happened to them after they left them, and like, did they ever realize they had been conned?
So in the book, doesn't it? I'm trying to figure out, because in the development TV, I imagined that, here's what I think and I thought that this was included in the book, that Steph was on the phone with her mom, but there was some indication that her mom really had been affected, like she was living somewhere or living with her. So I do imagine that the mom was very affected by that. And I think it actually did affect their lives in not the best way. Like, things did not go exactly according to plan. I mean, I couldn't have gone back. Like, the only way for us to go back was in that moment, right? For Lucky to go to the, so the only thing available in the book was just that sort of little snapshot in the open house. And I tried to show like as much as I could about Steph and talking about her family and all that. But her mom did call. And I felt like, I mean, maybe that I wanted to show that the mom was okay, but she wasn't great. Like, it wasn't, and it was too bad, because maybe if they had stayed, everything would have been different for everyone. And but I also think that what's really important about the fact that they didn't is when John says to Lucky, I can't stay because I disdain her. Because, and I think, that happens with con artists. Like, she was like, why can't you love her? And he's like, because I will always be like, why are you so stupid? And that's so unfair. And then Lucky in that moment realized that she would feel that way about Steph. And that to me was one of the most horrible moments for Lucky, realizing that she couldn't have genuine love with these people, even though she desperately wanted it.
Yeah. Yeah, he would see her as weak. You had meant, you said in the
yeah, and that you like in that you see she would see Steph as weak, and how do you not like sort of right or wrong come to resent the person you're scamming because they're below you and they're beneath you, even though that's just so totally unfair. Yeah, so it's poor Lucky. You know, she couldn't have what she wanted. She never could have.
But before, right when you joined in, we were talking about if anyone's ideas of criminals, and especially female criminals, had changed. So does anybody have anything they want to say now about that? And if you have anything you want to add about your idea of female criminals?
I don't think I never saw her as a criminal. And I don't know if that was your,
Yeah.
but I did not see her as a criminal at all. I was rooting for her
Mhm.
the entire time. And it's interesting because I read this book right on the heels of finishing watching that Inventing Anna, that Anna saw.
Me too.
Me too.
And I was rooting for Anna. And
Right.
as you know, as crazy as that may sound, because it's not, you almost forget what they're doing, but you see them as, you know, you see their smarts, you see their survival skills, you see their wit, you see what they can accomplish, and you almost for a minute forget that they're committing a crime. You know, and I think that was your intention when you wrote that, because she's a heroine, but a criminal heroine.
Right.
You know,
I feel like she was almost like a victim of her surroundings. Like she was always in the back of her head, oh, like, why are we doing this? Why are we doing, you know, I don't want to be like this. I don't want to be like this, but she was good at it. You know, she just so happened to be good at it. So she had to continue with her surroundings.
She never,
Yeah, she's a
her
product of her
boyfriend,
environment.
she never said, I just stop here. You know,
Right.
what took the catalyst for that, I think, was finally finding out the whole truth, that her entire life had been a con. She'd been conned by the man she thought was her father. So, you know, her life was a con. So, you know, you say, hey, you can't con a con artist. Yes, you can, because she was conned her entire
ultimate con.
life.
Yeah.
And I think
yeah.
the mother being, you know, this girl from, there was a contrast, you know, because the mother came from nothing as well, but was fostered by this nun who was trying to redeem herself and took on this girl as her project. And her mother became a law enforcement person, and it all came full circle. I mean, the criminal's mother is, you know, someone in law enforcement, and how, I don't know. She was a heroine to me. I mean, and I don't mean it to sound like I'm going to go out and con people or, you know, take tips on that kind of thing. But I was rooting for her from the minute, you know, you started seeing her development. I started rooting for her when the scumbag boyfriend left her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that, I mean, you know, like, that's when I said, oh no.
And
This is
Lucky is more likable than Anna.
Yeah, I think I was going to say that. I think part of it too is likability, right? Like sometimes people do bad things, right? Like I'm thinking in my head about, and we don't have to get into it, like Will Smith and the Oscars, right? Like likable people do things that you do not approve of and that you don't necessarily like, but you like them, right? So even though you know they've done something wrong, you still kind of have an affinity for them. And I think also it was, to me, like I started thinking about it from the perspective of sometimes good people find themselves in situations where they do things or they're in circumstances where they're doing things that are not good, but that doesn't, you know what I mean? That doesn't make them bad people. It's almost like there's bad behavior, not necessarily a bad person. I don't know if that's me just making excuses for the character.
No, I agree totally.
Yeah, but I see it in that way.
Yeah, I think you're all right. I mean, I think in Lucky that the idea of second chances and the fact people are flawed, you're right. I mean, yes, there are bad people, but I think those bad people are the type of criminals that are like sociopaths / psychopaths / you know, Vladimir Putin types, right? Those are bad people, but most people contain both. And I think it's so important to accept that. And what someone else was saying about rooting for Lucky and even rooting for Anna, I mean, or what's her name? Elizabeth. Elizabeth
Holmes, yes.
Holmes. And you know what they're doing is wrong, but the thing is they're gaming the system, and it's a system that we're all working within. It's not necessarily a fair system, right? So that it's sort of like, I mean, I know Anna, it's complicated, but I mean, hey, like it's not fair that rich people have everything they have either necessarily. So I think that's part of it. Like we're rooting for them. And that is absolutely what I was after. And I so badly wanted people to have that reaction. And it's the rare person who will say, well, you know, she was a criminal and she was a con artist and I could not root for her. Most people are like, yeah, I was in it. And that was really important because I wanted everyone to root for her, but I really needed everyone to want her to win $300 million or 390, you know, and that's a big part of it. Yeah.
The Gloria plot twist, I was really upset for a while. Like, she's gone through all this trouble to keep this thing safe for so long.
My agent always said to me, you cannot do this. Like, you've got to make sure she gets the money in the end. So
I was afraid the ticket was going to break apart the whole time. Like, stop touching it, stop taping it to places.
I really love at the beginning when she's in the Grand Canyon and she's out on the road. That was one of my favorite parts to write, where it's like blowing away. And I knew the reader would be like, no, because you know the premise of the book.
You wrote that so vividly. I felt like I was like in a bush, like watching this happen.
Totally. Absolutely. I actually had a question, Michelle, if I could jump in. So I'm curious because I do follow Reese's book club, and I, will often read some of her recommendations. So I'm curious as to what is the process of being selected? Like from the moment you're told, like I know you mentioned having to change the cover because of the being part of the club. So talk to us a little bit about that process if you can.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely one of the most exciting moments of my life, and I didn't at all expect it. I didn't see it coming. My editor took me out for dinner, ostensibly to celebrate Lucky having come out in Canada in April, but we were in a lockdown, so we didn't get to see each other. And when I arrived at the restaurant, there was champagne, and honestly, like writers are weirdly paranoid. So I was like, oh God, is it bad news? What bad news are they? Like, it was just, that was where my mind went. Like, are they dumping me? Like, it was just, and then my agent started taping with her phone. And at the beginning, like I should put the video on permanent. Maybe it is on my Instagram.
I saw it on your Instagram.
Yeah. Like I just am kind of like, oh, what is like, and my mind was going and I was like, this is a really weird experience. And then my editor said, Marissa, we have really incredible news for you. Lucky is a Reese's Book Club pick for December for your US release. And I just started crying because it's such it was not something I ever dared to hope for, because it's 12 authors a year. A Canadian has never been picked. Lucky had already come out in Canada. I always knew Lucky was lucky and special, but nothing quite had happened yet. So I was thinking, well, and then, so that was amazing. And then I said, okay, I cried and cried and cried and cried and cried, and then cried some more. And then I said, I have to call my husband. Like, I was like, I have to call my husband, or I have to go home because we're really super close. And then I called him and he was like, oh, that's great. Like, and I realized as I told him, he was not, I mean, he's a guy, and he was like, oh, book club sounds good. Cool.
He doesn't understand.
Like, you have to Google it and I'll be home in a few hours. By the time I got home, he was like, and my editor had said, at this point for you, everything changes. And it's so true. I mean, there's not a minute that goes by that I don't think Reese Witherspoon lifted me up and changed my life. And she does that all the time. She does that all the time with people like me, all kinds of different authors. She does it in the film and TV world, and it's an incredible thing to have experienced. I'm always looking for ways to try to pay it forward, because it's like winning the lottery. I mean, it really, really is. And then the other side of it is that you have to keep it a secret and you can't tell anyone for 3 months. So that was really hard. I did tell my best friend. I told my dad and my stepdad. and like probably five other people. And then I just stopped talking to people. And when the news came out, I had friends who were like, wow, I thought we weren't friends anymore. No, I'm just so terrible with a secret that I couldn't, like we stopped taking dinner invitations. Like it
Oh,
just,
goodness. It's hard to keep that in when you're excited.
yeah, I was so exciting. It was exciting for my husband and my kids and I. And then we found out the week before that I was going to LA to do an event with Reese, and I decided to bring my husband and kids. And at that point, it was the most exciting thing for not just for me, but for my family, and coming on the heels of, a couple of years of lockdown, and we had lost my mom, and it was just such a great thing to have happen. So
you deserve it because the book is fantastic.
Thank
He
you.
really is lucky.
That's great. What a great story. So nice to hear that. I'm glad.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Yeah, Lucky is special. And I think she's got more tricks up her sleeve, honestly. So keep rooting for her, because I think she's gonna do it. She's gonna pull the ultimate heist. So
Are you planning on writing more stories with Lucky as the character?
if on the off chance that it did not make it to the screen, I would absolutely write a sequel, because I have more stories about Lucky, and I feel there's more either that for me to tell, or, for very trusted screenwriters to tell. I will. But otherwise, I really hope and believe that you can just watch her do her thing on TV. Yeah, and I have another book in the works that is, really something that fans of Lucky will enjoy. It's not Lucky, but it's something along. Yeah, something cool. So
cool.
Yeah.
When is that expected to come out?
Well, I'm just in negotiations with my publisher.
Okay.
I think it will be at least about a year and a half.
Okay.
I do have another holiday rom-com coming out. I don't know if you know that. I write holiday rom-coms under a pseudonym.
No, but holiday rom-coms are my favorite.
Oh, okay.
I love them too.
So I wrote The Holiday Swap by Maggie Knox with my friend Karma Brown. And we have another one coming out next October called All I Want for Christmas, which is set in Nashville. It's like musical reality show, oil and water, kind of like The Hating Game meets Nashville. And then I have another holiday rom-com coming out the year after with someone else. So
busy.
Yeah, I'm busy. Yeah.
Very busy.
Michelle, if I could say one thing,
yes.
I can recommend The Last Resort, because I did read it, and and I really liked it, and I read that book, and it was totally by, when you read one book and then you get another book recommended, on the e-reader, you just get like, oh, if you like this, you'll get this, and I'm like, yeah, sure. So and it was another one of the, because I was one of the ones that I don't think I would have ever picked up, because I thought, con artists, no, I'm not going to read about that. And then I ended up loving it. And that Last Resort, I almost said, no, I'm not going to read it, because I thought, oh, do I really want to see what people's, relationship issues. And
I know.
What there's something here that I might be going through in my marriage, it's just.
And was it during the pandemic? Because honestly, I did not I think nobody wanted to delve into marriage issues during the pandemic.
24/7, no reprieve. And I was like, do I really want to do this? And I'm glad I did. So that's, for those of you that have not read it, I recommend it. So I give my seal of approval and endorsement to that one as well.
Thank you, Lydia.
You're welcome.
I'm not psychic. I just checked the screen.
I have a question based on something Lydia said before about Lucky being conned essentially by her dad. And before that, we had said how he views people that are conned weak. I don't think he viewed her as weak. I think he genuinely cared for her. Do you think he viewed her as his other targets?
I don't think he viewed himself as conning her. That's the thing, right? Because he felt, and when you see their conversation, he's like, please, yes, he picked her up, and in that moment on the church steps, he knew, because he is unable to think of things any other way, right? So he's like, what's the gain here? If I have a baby, it's going to make my cons easier. But at the same time, also, he had a family, doesn't have a family anymore. He missed his siblings, all of that. He just wanted a baby, and he loved her. So he in his mind was not conning her. He loved her, he gave her a life, and right, he didn't see it that way.
Okay. And while we're on the topic of love, Carrie was a complicated character. They both came from similar backgrounds with con artist parents. How did you guys feel about Carrie? Did you like him? Do you think he really cared for her? Do you think it was his plan all along? Anyone?
I'll tell you what
I didn't like him. No.
No.
I thought
It took me a while to realize that he was related to Priscilla when he was Alex.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Right.
I thought his mother was the master manipulator in his life. That's, I thought he was her puppet.
And isn't that the worst with the guy, right? When he's manipulated by his mom.
Yeah.
That's his
Yeah, she instilled fear in him.
She was just the worst.
I know.
Yeah.
You didn't like,
I was scared of her.
like the dad. But then when that character was introduced, it was like, oh my God, this woman is the worst. You know, she's just.
He wasn't likable.
No,
He was walking the dog.
right?
I'm like, girl, walk faster. Just keep walking with that dog. I was like, oh, get away.
I know. I had a friend texting me when she started reading the novel, and she's like, "There's a dog in this. I have a bad feeling." And I was like, "What do you mean? I'm not going to kill the dog. Like, I am." There's no, Betty was always going to survive. But yes, I mean, I think like we were talking about, most people are contain light and dark, but are ultimately redeemable. There are people like Priscilla who are just not good people. I think Carrie, again, having worked on some TV development on the show, Carlton Cuse in particular was really focused on the fact that Carrie, and in some ways it's funny working on something you've already written and published, because he was like, no, Carrie is not that. Like, he's better. He could be redeemable. And he had me work on different sides to Carrie's character where he did become redeemable in this other TV world. And I thought that was quite interesting.
So he's redeemable in the TV version?
He could be. I mean, in the TV version for ABC, in the next iteration of it, who knows? Like, I really, but I believe that probably for a show, he would have to be, because you can't, it's a little, sometimes you can make it, you oversimplify it a bit on the page because you only have that amount. But when you're watching something, let's say for 3 seasons, Carrie can't just be always bad. You have to wonder.
I mean, I liked him for a little bit.
He was a manipulator too. It's like the scene when he's at the party in their big lavish house with his friends, that he buys her the dress, and I think she had like a bad day or so. It was right after she had lost the baby. I know we have someone that hasn't totally finished it. I don't want to ruin it. And he like dresses her up and shows her how to pop the champagne right before. Like, he manipulated that whole situation to seem like if he was caring for her, when at the end he was just gonna scam her.
No, but I also, that song Atlantic City by the band, like, I think he was also in trouble. Like, I know it was bad, but he was also in trouble.
Yeah.
I mean, he's bad and everything, but he was in trouble, and he shouldn't have done what he did.
He was being manipulated by his mother.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I feel like they come from the same walks, they come from similar situations and backgrounds where he was probably, we don't know his story yet, which I'm sure.
Yeah, that's what I want to hear.
If the show happens, we'll know it, and we'll probably feel some sense of empathy for him as well. We don't, that's the difference, right? Like
about the dad and his.
Yeah, we have empathy for Lucky because we know her story. Carrie had a similar situation, kind of, right? Because it's the mom who's, doing all this stuff, and he's obviously her kid, whatever. It's just that we don't have that background on him, so we can't empathize as much with him. At least that's, that's how I see it.
Or even what led his mom to be the way she is.
Yeah, it's all complicated. I mean, at the same time, I think Carrie was not as smart as Lucky in my mind. Like, if he had only come to her, she would have figured out a way out of it, and wouldn't have let his mom manipulate them like that. And so he has weakness that she does not have. And so I don't want them to end up together, but I think he's redeemable in his way. Like, I would never want her 3 seasons later to be like, oh, we're together. Like, it could never be. Has to be someone else.
Yes.
Carrie to me is like her dad in the way, in that, you know, when she talks to him about like, couldn't we just live this life and stay here forever? And he goes, this is all I know. Like Carrie grew up with his mom manipulating him and him only pulling, you know, cons his whole life. So that's all he knows, even if, you know, while she's in school and being, you know, trying to live a good, normal life, he can't do that alongside of her. He still has to be pulling something on the side, because he can't just be.
Right. Yeah.
I was so sad he ruined her career.
Yeah,
essentially,
because she
for her.
was doing
She
it.
worked
She
so
was,
hard to be good.
I know.
and she was being successful, and she had her business, and she was like, you know, progressing, and he came and like tainted that. He started, you know, meddling in that. And so that was sad to me.
Yeah. But then she has her happy ending anyway.
She does.
So, I know, but you're right. And I'm glad. I love that you, I mean, I love that you guys feel that. It makes me so happy. I can't tell you how much it makes me happy to hear people talking about my characters like they're the real people who I feel that they are in my mind. So yeah, no, it's really cool.
About Priscilla and Gloria, what is everybody's thoughts on Lucky going to Gloria first?
I mean, I think, you know, in her mind, Gloria, she doesn't know Gloria. So Gloria could be good, but Priscilla, she knows, is bad. So she doesn't have any trust in Priscilla, whereas Gloria's a blank slate. She can put whatever emotions and feelings she has on her. And in her mind, she's the good mom that she never got to know, that was looking for her, that, you know, maybe is going to be this great mom that she's wanted all her life.
She was such a surprise character for me, because I imagined her how her dad would talk about her. So when she turned out to be like the complete opposite and basically drugged her with alcohol, I was so surprised.
Gloria, and I imagine her like a really like trashy Annette Bening type, like that, and just sort of almost very comedic. But I mean, but even Gloria, like I found, you know, you don't hate her. She's got her, she's doing the best she can, and she made me laugh. My editor and I we were just the whole like chocolate turn down thing when she opens the door because it's, you know, chocolate, like that's just funny. And yeah, so, but I think the thing with Lucky also is she was, when you're a con artist like that too, and you have your one weakness and your one thing you want, like you can't just go and get it necessarily, like you go and get everything else, you know, you're always just sort of circling around it. And it's complicated when you're someone like that and there's something you want so badly. And I think she never felt worthy of this dream mom she had. But I think the interesting thing, I don't know if you would have caught too, is because she has this moral compass running through her. I was really playing with that idea of nature versus nurture. So she was nurtured by her father to be a con artist, but I do believe we all contain a balance of nature and nurture. And I know this because I've known people who've, you know, met siblings who were adopted, and they meet them, you know, when they're 50 years old, and they have the same family traits, right? Like, and they haven't even met. So I was thinking, Lucky's mom as the DA, like this is running through her, this sense of justice. And we find out why at the very end. You know, it's not just a coincidence that her mom is in law enforcement. It's of course, because this is her nature. Ultimately, she was nurtured in one direction, but her nature is this moral compass.
Yeah, I loved the end. I loved how that all tied in together. I'm happy that Carrie got his sentence, or
yeah,
I was like, good, he's paying for everything he's done. I know we only have like 30 minutes with you, so I don't want to overtake our welcome. Yes.
Yeah, so, I should go soon because I told my kids I would watch something with them. So, but yeah.
Does anybody have any last minute things to say before Marissa leaves us?
I had a question. I feel like, you know, reading through, like the question that kept going through my mind, like when you described some of like the cons that Lucky and Carrie were both doing, like
would this happen to me? Would this happen to me? Would I fall for this? Like, do you feel like anybody is capable of being conned, or do you think it's a certain type of person? Do you think we're all capable of being manipulated in that way?
I really think, although now I'm sort of on weird high alert for it, and I even made a new friend last year, and they seem so great, she and her husband, and like there's even still this part of me that's like, are they con artists? Which I don't healthy. Like I just, and I love them, and I'll never tell her. Like I sometimes think you're so perfect. You're just exactly what I wanted in a friend at that moment. Like her mom died at the same time my mom died, and like all these things that I was like, yes. So that's the thing. I think we all have these weak spots, and that's what a con artist does. And I think that's why the romance cons work, and but why the Tinder swindler is able to do what he did, because we do, if we're vulnerable, if we want love, or if we want a child, or we all want something, money, and if somebody figures out what we want most and then they make it appear that they can give it to us, I think we're all vulnerable. So, which is interesting. And then sometimes I think, well, wow, we could all just be conned all the time, but we're not.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
I know, thank goodness. I know. But also, and that's part of storytelling too, is I think I've done my job if you guys are talking about it this way, and I've conned you in a way to feel something for people who don't really exist. And that's fun. And it's a harmless con because it was $20 for the book. So
Well,
didn't lose anything.
Before you go, can we take a group virtual photo with you?
Yeah, sure.
Does anybody have their books? Let me get and you conned us in a good way. I really enjoyed it. This was my first book of yours to read, and I'm a fan. I'm like your social media stalker now, as you can see.
That's it twice because my dog ate my original copy and I downloaded it. So you got me twice.
I have my iPad in the other room, so
it's fine. You just smile. 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to do it again just in case. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Thank you, Marissa. We recorded the conversation, so I'll send your publicist the link when it's up on our website.
Oh, sure. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed our chat, everyone. I really did. And I had a lot of fun and hope to do it again for the next book. So
we would love to have you back. So if you're open to it, we would welcome you.
Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Good
have a
luck
good
with
day.
everything.
Everyone stay on a second.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. So we can announce the next book. Does anybody have anything else they want to say on Lucky though?
No, I loved it, and she's amazing.
It
and
was great. Yeah.
I hope it's like gonna be on Netflix or Apple TV or something, because I will definitely watch it.
It'll be a great TV show.
You know what? I was going to ask her, but then I said, I'm not going to ask her.
She said she couldn't. So yeah, I was going to ask
her the whole, and I didn't because I was like, nah, I'm not going to bring the religion thing into it. But isn't it interesting that she chooses a nun, she gives her a cross, she wears the cross like her entire life. And it's sort of like if she's being protected, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I say that, you know what I mean? Because I know we're probably all on the same page about that kind of thing, but, or at least sort of, but I didn't want to like throw that in there, but I did.
Oh my God, no, that would have been a great question for real.
Yeah, it would have been awesome.
Yeah, but I was just like, because maybe I'm like, oh, look at the super Catholic girl, like, looking at.
Catholicism is big in Canada.
You know what I mean? Like, I was just like, oh, here, yes, it's the 12 years of Catholic school coming to.
I think you should have asked. You want me to send her a message and ask?
No, I'm telling you guys, look, I said it now because because I sort of wanted to, but then I'm like, I know. Because,
Catholicism is big in Canada, so maybe she's Catholic.
But you know what I mean? Because how those of us here, I know there are quite a few of us that went to Catholic school, you sort of see all these, yes, it's because I'm wearing my Sacred Heart, or I'm wearing my cross, or, oh, God was watching out for me, or whatever. And so I just, or, whatever, God was with me that day. I just didn't want to like throw that out there because somebody, I mean, I don't know, maybe not, but you know.
But for Lucky, it wasn't so much about like the significance of the cross, like
Yeah, because
religious
That it was
significance,
her
it was her
mother's.
mom's.
Yeah.
yeah, she thinks it's her mom. So, but she never takes it off. It's the only thing of value that she has. A nun gives it to her. The convent, the nun, the cross, the never taking it off. She always gets out just in the nick of time. They can't catch her. You know what I mean? Like all these little things. Yeah, she's great, skilled at conning, but could
Lydia,
it
this
be?
is a great question. You should have asked it.
Whatever.
Now I want to know the answer.
Did they say how the
It's a
nun
really
had
good,
the thing?
yeah.
She got it. Did they see a backstory about the nun? I don't remember. I read it a
No,
while.
they
ago.
just
I don't
did
think they
like
did.
a criminal or something before.
They didn't say what brought the nun to the convent.
No,
No,
she
I
said
wanted to know
maybe-
more
Wasn't she
about
like a
her.
newer nun?
Yeah, and she seemed like she was not like she didn't
Like
she
she
wear a
wasn't
cross
great
and she was like, I
before.
don't even know why I'm wearing like she was kind of like hiding. I felt that Sister Act vibe
Yes,
too.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
right?
I wanted to know more about her.
Yeah,
then
yeah,
she
I agree.
puts it on the baby. And you're
Yeah.
like, well, did
Puts
this
it on the
cross,
baby.
why did she put the cross on? Did the cross spark something in the nun? And then I don't know. It was just like too religiously deep. And
I want to know how the nun became a nun, because didn't she go there hiding? Like,
yeah,
I thought she
become
was
a nun
Seemed like she
overnight.
was
Like you have to go
hiding
to
from
school for it.
somebody.
but she
Right.
became a nun and she stayed a nun and she became good, whatever the heck she did, because of her, everything came full circle. You know what I mean? And if she wouldn't have taken this girl and fostered her and whatever, her mother would have never become successful and never would have been on TV. And, you know, Lucky would have never seen her and nothing come into play.
It all
So
worked out.
was God working there? Whatever. I just didn't want
But one decision could have changed everything, right? Just like in everything. I read this other book the other day, The Midnight Library. Has anybody ever read
Oh,
that?
I want to read that.
Yeah, that it talks about like having parallel lives, you know, happening all at the same time,
like
just
the
because of
Matrix.
one decision that you change.
Mhm.
Pretty cool.
Like Ordinary Jones.
I thought she was gonna, the nun was gonna find her because of the necklace. Like I was waiting for the nun to like be watching TV and see the picture of her like mugshot and be like, oh, that's the necklace.
Yeah.
That's what I was imagining in my head.
I opened up a real Pandora's box now with this. I just didn't, I don't know. Something held me back from asking it. So
Next time, text me and I'll ask it.
I guess we never know. Yeah, I'll be like, ask her this. I don't want to look like the crazy religious person.
People have done that. People that haven't been able to come and want a question answered have messaged me questions that they want answered, or that are shy to speak like in public. Like sometimes there's people that are just like listening and not really speaking because they're more shy. And I've gotten like text messages like, ask this. So you can message me, I'll ask.
Okay.
No, when we had Chanel Clean, I was super like,
oh, so I asked her,
I was like, oh.
now that you brought her up, I asked her for her next book club, but she's busy writing like other books at the moment and some other projects. So she's not doing any like public speaking things. Yeah. So we're going to miss her for this one, but she said she really likes her book club and she hopes to come for the next one. So we had her twice and everyone really liked her.
Yeah.
So you guys ready for the next one?
Yes.
Well, first, our website is live. Those of you that have checked it out, thank you. I'm trying to update it at least twice a week. I know that seems very little, but I do it on my off time, so it becomes a lot. And it's not just about books for those of you that haven't checked it out. And if you've read a book and haven't joined the discussion for some reason, all the past discussions are on there, so you can watch them if you're interested in checking out what the author said. So our next book club is not one of the ones I had asked for the voting. I asked for those because I was reaching out to those authors and like 3 of them said no. I think that when they have a book that's just launched, it's very hard to get them because they have other commitments.
Yeah.
So I'm still trying for some of them. Oh, now this froze. Our next book club pick is The Husbands by Chandler Baker. Can you see it? It's not very new, but it came out last fall. It's on hardcover right now. The paperback is coming out in 2 weeks, so mid-April. So if you prefer paperback for some reason, just wait for 2 weeks. And she is going to be joining us for a discussion. And that will be on May 24th. So right before the long weekend.
Michelle, what's the genre of that book? What is it about?
So it is, from what I've read in the descriptions and the comments, it's a little bit of a mystery to it. I don't know what the mystery is, but it's kind of like one woman's, I think it's one woman, but kind of like she walks into like a Stepford Wives kind of scenario. And it's like all the perfect husbands and they're all helping and stuff. And it's like her like reasoning with like women taking on a lot of things. But from what I read, there's a mystery to it. So I don't know if there's going to be a murder or something to it, but and I know some of you have asked for a rom-com love story. So I will be trying to pick one of those next. I was trying for this one, but I couldn't get an author to say yes. So hope you guys are excited for The Husbands. It's fairly new. Has anybody already read it? No? Oh, good.
I just got it right now on Libby.
Libby?
I went on my phone right now. I'm like, let's see if it's on Libby so I can go start reading it already.
I downloaded the audio, but I want to read it.
The audio, if any of you want the audio,
it's available.
Libby. It's available because I borrowed. You might have another copy of the ebook.
I have one borrowed as well. And they're sending us some I think copies of books and stuff for like giveaways. So stay tuned.
Awesome.
Hi. Tina, I see you're eating, but did we mess up the ending for you?
I was muting you guys. I would like go in and out. It was great. I was able to hear like stuff that she talked about without ruining. Anytime I want to hear like a character that I hadn't heard the character fleshed out, I was like, mute.
So you don't have we didn't ruin the ending. You don't know what the ending is.
No.
Okay, good.
No.
You have to send us a message and let us know what you think.
I know, I'm excited to finish.
Guys, I gotta go.
Okay, go. Well,
my son from the Hunger Games that he's playing. They're waiting for him outside, and I have to open the garage because they're waiting with squirt guns. They're playing like the Hunger Games, and it's like $1,500 on the line, and there's 3 out of 150. There's 3 left, and he's one of them.
Oh boy, good luck.
And I have people stalking my house all the time, and I have to park outside, and he has to park in my garage because he doesn't want to get busted with the Hunger Games. And he just texted me, "They're waiting for me. Open the garage." So,
bye. Well, thank you everyone for joining tonight. Hope to see you at the next one, May 24th.
Michelle.
Yes, thank you, Melissa. I hope you liked your first one.
Yes, it was awesome. Loved it.
Yay.
Bye.
I have all the little kitties out now.
Bye.
Bye.